I am occupying my usual corner today. Hello. So today we're going to do things a little differently. If y'all saw the last Cancer reading and the live zodiacs, I'm basically going to do that. I have a new scratch off card. I got another $1 scratch off, and it's like this one is a holiday cash double. And it's funny because I've been listening to like a Christmas. I've been listening to like Christmas music for the past 2 days at work. Well, today it seemed like it was playing the same song over and over. It was like, "We wish you a Merry Christmas." Christmas in October, I'll take it. I mean, excuse me, I'm not much for Halloween personally. So you can choose. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? And then I got this fortune. Well, I got 2 fortunes, but this is the one I'm going to use to. There you go. Never chase a dog down a dead end alley. Never chase a dog into a dead end alley. And at first, I was going to use the tea leaf for a dog, and then the wild unknown archetypes for the dead end alley. But I'm just going to use the animal and the wild unknown archetypes as the dog, and then I'll pull the the dead end. And so the top one will be okay. Let me grab it so I know what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So I'm going to pull the cards before and the card after. So 1 is like 3 cards before, 2 is 2 cards before, 3 is 1 card before, 4 is 1 card after, 5 is 2 cards after, 6 is 3 cards after. Hey Holly, how you doing? And that's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull both of those, and then I'll also get a separate, because that'll be the who and the where. So I'll get a separate what and how, or yeah, how. So that'll be an item and a wild unknown alchemy. And then I'll just clarify with the probably tarot, maybe animals, as I need to. So bear with me because I was not like I didn't even have the decks pulled out today. So excuse me. One second. I kind of want to use the SKT. I feel like I haven't used the SKT in a minute. I feel like I definitely have not used the Vitruvian edition enough. I mean, I haven't used the Revelations edition enough. I was so excited for SKT3, and I feel like I barely used it. I spent so much time with the Vitruvian edition. I love it so much. It was like my whenever I really want to reach up and out deck. And woo, did it go up and out sometimes. 77.77 for 14 gallons. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. The numbers. One second. I said, I'm kind of nervous. All right. Sorry about that. And we're back. Oh, look, there you go, Holly. Temperance with the Sun of Pentacles, which the Knight of Pentacles being the slowest moving knight in the deck. That is Minor Arcana Temperance. I mean, that's pre-temperance. Never thought of that before, but it makes sense. All right, these are shuffled. I'm going to clarify yours. Actually, I'm going to start with these. I'm going to start with an animal. I'll do an animal to tarot for all of these. Oh my gosh. I'm not trying to be here all night. But it's fine. I guess. I guess it will be okay. Excuse me. The tiger and the bat. Ooh. The tiger and the turtle. Ooh, T-word animals. Let's not get the tarantula, please. The oyster. Okay, the tiger and the oyster. The gazelle and the oyster. Shout out to Reem at the Rare Gazelle. Okay. I'm going to move you here. And I'm going to move you to here. And we're going to move these here. And then we're going to 1, 2, 3. I know what that card is. It's like the only animal that's bent. Ooh, the starfish at the bottom of the deck. Rejuvenation, kind of like some lizards. If the tail gets removed, they'll grow back. One piece of the starfish can regenerate. There's an energy of generation. And then I'll timestamp like these as I go. So if you watch this later and you want to get right to 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, or 6, because there's more than 4, then you can. 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, or if you want to watch all of them, you can. Whatever you want. The 4 of Swords and the 5 of Swords. Interesting. And then I'll do the top and the bottom. Cut it there. Okay. I want the bottom to be on the bottom. There we go. So I'll remember which is which. But if I flip them over, I'm not going to. It's fine. The top and the bottom. I'll just try to be mindful. The top and the bottom. 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 The 4 of Cups. With the 8 of Swords. And the 6 of Swords. Excuse me. There's that 8 of swords again. But with the 6 of swords now. A 6 of swords with the 8 of swords and a 4 of cups is interesting. All right. Sorry. Next, I'm going to get the what? You go back inside. I'm not looking at any of these. I don't want to know. Wait, I haven't picked. Okay, I just picked. How am I going to remember what I picked? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The bottom is the thread. Which is interesting because of the 4 of cups, 8 of swords. 4 of cups, 8 of swords, 6 of swords. I feel like I was about to do something. Oh, yeah. So I remember which one I pick. I usually don't pick when I do this, but that's usually because I forget. So. Excuse me. Enjoy your weekend, K2. No worries, no worries. She was like, wait. So these are the wares. So I'm looking for the dead end. Is this going to be like a, I was going to say, is this going to be like a Flissa thing? Is the dog Flissa? Okay, that feels good. So look from the bottom. Un momento, por favor. All right, I'm like doing something this weekend. Looking for the dead end. Oh, come on. It was, it's a literal card. Okay. So I'll put you here. 1 card before, 2, 3. This is the first card after. And then this would be the second one. And this would be the third one. The temple is the bottom. It's interesting that all of this is around the dead end. Because none of these, well, Some of these definitely feel less like a dead end than others. For sure. I'm trying to like keep these separate. Okay. And then the aspect of self. Yeah, I didn't really plan for it or think of it coming out like literally the second card from the top. When I was like, oh, I'll pull 3 before. It's fine. Excuse me. Who flipped out the last time? I don't remember, but I just put the card back. So, all right, let me cut it there. Looking for the animal. The animal. Oh my gosh, this is gonna happen again. Oh, it's happening again. No. It's the what, fourth card? Oh, I got my 3. Okay, that's fine. That is very fine. That's all I needed. Thank you for obliging me. Thank you, thank you. So this is 1 card before, 2 cards before, 3 cards before, first card after, second card after, third card after. Okay. I didn't say that in any certain way to imply any certain thing. Okay. The unseen is the bottom of this stack. So it was the thread. What was the other one? The thread, the temple, and the unseen. The thread, the temple, and the unseen is interesting because that feels like it's an almost high refined energy. And so now I'm gonna get the alchemy cards and I'll put these at the bottom with the bottom of the deck. And then I'll get started on reading all 6 of these. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I should do less. Not often, but this is one of those times. But we'll see. Cancers was really interesting, so I don't even know what I'm gonna do with those. Is there another alchemy? Do I have an alchemy oracle? Holiday. Oh, I can use the all winter oracle. Boom, got it. I know what I'm gonna do. Thank you. I actually got a full half-gallon of water before I started this, so I am prepared. Thank you. Okay. Now these, I don't want to see any of the cards. Is it too late for me to repick? Some of these are like, oh wow, what? Some of these are very interesting. How like the pair of who's and where's that came out. Very interesting. Ooh, sacrum, sugar. Love that. But you're going back in the deck. So I know the hunter came out. The sugar sacrum card came out. I don't remember what place flipped over. when I was shuffling those, but that sounds like Winnie the Pooh to me. Searching for something sweet, honey. Okay, so you go here. Am I pulling from the top or the bottom? Whatever I feel. We'll do this one from the bottom too. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. All right. Ooh. What's this? Succus lunari or Succus lunaria? I don't know. Sap of the moonflower. Sap of the moon plant is at the bottom. That full moon in Aries is coming up in it. Number 41. Okay. So let me assemble these. I'm going to have to find somewhere for these to go so I can read these one at a time. 6 is on the bottom. I guess we'll just go in order. Oh, no, I looked at 5. I really looked at 5. I was staring at it like, okay. So number 1 is here. Let me get my coin. We have the quarter. Maryland. The old line state? What does that mean? The year 2000. I don't know if I focus, but there you go. I want to put these here. So I will put these in the box. Okay. This moon plant looks really interesting. Excuse me. So we got sap of the moon plant. Wait, who's at the bottom? The starfish. Yeah. Okay. Sap of the moon plant, starfish. The tarot was the 4 of cups and the 8 of swords and the 6 of swords. I remember. Oh. Oh, snap. Hold up. Oh, no, I can't get the card out. There's the moon, right? And then there's the butterfly. And it feels like either the caterpillar or the butterfly eats the sap of the moon plant. That's interesting. And then that starfish regrowth is there. So let me timestamp 24. Oh my gosh. I'm already half an hour into this and I haven't started any one of the 6. Actually, I don't have the room here, so I'm going to do it on my phone. I need to make a note. I need to make a note. Make a note. No. There we go. It's fine. And I'll just use this one. We are farmers. Dum 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 bum bum. Pile 1 is 2520. So, pile 1, if you're joining me here, I'm going to do that thing that I did for Cancer's live zodiac reading, where I went to Walmart, I bought a scratch off ticket, I associate a pile with every scratch off spot, and I scratch it off, and then we read whatever. This week, it's the four Kims, the who, where, and what from the wild unknown archetypes, paired with the how of the wild unknown alchemy, and then the why of the wild unknown tarot and animal spirits. Also, I stopped by and I got some food after I left Walmart, and I got a fortune. And the fortune this week says, or today, it says, never chase a dog into a dead end alley. Never chase a dog into a dead end alley, right? And then this is the holiday cash double scratch off. And so what I did was the dog is the animal. Excuse me. There are 6 piles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I pulled before and after the animal being the dog, and then the dead end being the dead end alley. So that gives us a who and it gives us a where. And then I shuffled the decks and I pulled a what. The what's and the wild unknown archetypes are cards number 51 to 70. And then I pulled a how from either the top or the bottom of the wild unknown alchemy. And I went through and I put one animal in the top and bottom of the tarot as the sort of why for each pile. So the first pile is 3 cards before, second pile is 2 cards before, third pile is the card before, the animal, and the dead end. The fourth pile is 1 card after, fifth pile is 2 cards after, sixth pile is 3 cards after, the animal, and the dead end. And I'm going to timestamp 1 here. Even I know I just explained all of that for pile 1, but I'm not going to do that again. so we're going to modify this to say 28 minutes. Ooh, you get a cool 28 minutes. All right, pile 1. So let's see. Yours is interesting because I feel like yours is one of those piles where the who and the where make sense. So your who is the siren. Your where is the ocean. Right? Like the siren in the ocean makes sense. Oh, your number. Oh, wait, 1 second. Oh, that's the deck I need. I hope I don't knock the camera over. Yes. Oh, it was right at top. I didn't have to go searching for it. Scratch off your number. I'm going to use the All Winter Oracle because it's in the season. And I'm going to shuffle these up. And then I'm going to pull that number because I'm assuming these are going to give me numbers. I mean, I honestly don't know what it's going to give me. Whatever it gives me, we're going to use All Winter Oracle to clarify its full moon energy. There we go. Is this a full moon in Aries thing? I don't know, but it's happening this weekend. Did I see? I wonder where this full moon in Aries is happening, actually. I'm curious. I mean, it's in my 12th house, wherever it is, because anyway, this isn't about me. This is about you. This is about us. This is about humanity. Okay. And then I'm just going to count right off of that as it's shuffled. So, the ocean and the siren. This automatically makes me think of a pick a card reading I did a long time ago. A long time ago. Probably before, well, K2. Nah, it wasn't before I met you, but it was in that in between. Um, but the siren came out, and it was about something that was deeply internal, that was sort of calling, and it was going to reach a point where we couldn't ignore it anymore. Now, the siren in the ocean, it's interesting because although the ocean is the siren's natural domain and natural habitat, it feels like the siren is lost in it. And it's not lost in a like she doesn't know how to navigate the ocean. Thank you. Thanks, Holly. I appreciate it. It'll be down Monday. It's for the wedding. So the vessel is your what? Oh, I already regret this. So you have the ocean, the siren, and the vessel. The Five of Pentacles was at the top, the moon is at the bottom, the animal is the fox. And then your alchemy card is number 47, sublimatio, sublimation. It's interesting that it was the vow that kept coming out from the last reading I did. And then there was the bird that was flying around Gnosis. And I was like, if you zoom into the bird, it'll be the bird in the vow. But it's almost like that's emblematic of Gnosis and that bird. It's all sort of here. I'm going to read Sublimatio. Yeah, it's still in here. So, right off the bat, this fox makes everything. Actually, I don't mind the fox here. And I don't mind the fox here because the siren is here. I feel like the siren, it can be easy to give the siren like a negative connotation because of what they did to sailors. But with the fox being here, it's almost like there's some kind of misunderstanding. The fox to me is like coyote, where it can be trickstery and like stuff like that. But for me, it's like something isn't necessarily what it appears, or it's not necessarily the first thing that you go to when you think of it. So with this Five of Pentacles up here, it's almost like there's a feeling of a longing. And it makes me think of the Heraith in the Archeo, where it's like there's a longing for something that you've never experienced or that you don't know. It's like there's a knowing and a connection to something, but it's like you haven't found it yet, you haven't experienced it yet, or like not in this lifetime. but somehow there's a part of you that knows it's there, even when you don't know it's there. This isn't the Flusa, is it? There was one of these piles I looked at, and I was like, oh, that's kind of like Flusa energy. And maybe that's why it felt like the siren was like lost in the ocean. Like the ocean's a pretty big place. But it's almost like the thing that you're longing for, it's almost like you're not really looking for what you're looking for. But you think or you believe that you'll find it when you get it. And like the moon is here too. As if things weren't already unclear enough. Did I say 47? This is number 67. Oh, look, 567. 567, 18. The ocean is number 35. The siren is number 18. What? You got an 1818. The moon and the siren. And then the vessel is number 49. Oops, too far. Sublimatio. Hold up. 67, not 57. Here we go. Sublimatio, sublimation. This is elevation, rising, and flight. Sublimatio is the great alchemical operation of air. It occurs when there is enough heat to change a solid substance into a gas, causing it to rise up, up, and away. Therefore, when sublimation is present, there is an aspect of celebrated elevation, of ascending above and gaining a greater perspective. Birds in flight, mountain peaks, ladders, and balloons are all sublimatio images. As with all the operations, sublimatio has a shadow potential. Through ascension, there is a risk of separating from others, of sensing oneself high or above. This risk is particularly great in spiritual traditions that offer a linear model of achievement. The divine alchemist rises humbly and supports the upliftment of others, always in touch with the cycle of humanity. Service is the natural balancing agent for sublimatio. It may be the next rung on your ladder. So, I wasn't even thinking like, honestly, I read sublimatio, sublimation, and I wasn't even thinking of like what sublimation is. But like the entry said, sublimation is a process of a solid becoming a gas. So it completely skips the liquid phase, which is interesting because the siren is lost in the liquid. But with the fox here, it's almost like there's some expected, projected intermediary step or something that you have to achieve before you can get something else. And so maybe that's why it's like what you're seeking isn't what you're really seeking. Because if your ultimate end goal is to be at point C, but you think that you have to get at point B before you can get there, that's when and where like disturbance, I guess, can enter. Because if your card is sublimatio, you go directly to point C. There is no point B. So you're not going to find it. And if you do end up at a point B, you're going to have to completely change the environment and the circumstances, which you can do and you can take that path, but it's not necessary. And then the vessel is here. What's interesting about these cards in particular is that they all have like some kind of order thing. but the one in the vessel more closely mirrors or matches, looks like the ones in the ocean, because the one in the siren is like an oval. It's ovular. But these are more like circular, right? Maybe it's ovular because, is ovular the word I want? It's elliptical, right? Is that the word I want? It's like an ellipse. But it's almost like there's some kind of strange pressure that's being put on this circle to like stretch it out and elongate it. Like it's pushing in from the sides, and so it compensates by like getting taller. And it's like it's something that it feels unnecessary. Now I'm gonna scratch your thing off. So these are not numbers. Well, there's $5, but your thing is, I don't know if you can see it, the snowman. What am I supposed to do with snowman? Do I add up the letters in snowman to see which all winter oracle card I pull? Do I pull the fifth card because it's $5? I'm just gonna shuffle and see if anything comes out. Oh, okay. I think that one was already flipped over. Oh, completion. And they're going to put the star question. Yeah, the star on top of the tree. It's interesting that the star is getting put on top of the tree remembrance at the bottom of the deck because of the moon card here. It's like the star goes on top of the tree, not the moon, silly. Like, what are you doing? Now, the snowman makes me think of Frosty the Snowman. And Frosty the Snowman is very like enjoy the season for what it is type of energy. Because eventually, winter is going to end, the sun is going to come out, it's going to get warm, and Frosty's going to melt. And that's we're talking about Olaf, and there's an Elsa. I never saw Frozen 2, but at the end of the first Frozen, like, he was a thing, right? Even though all the ice and stuff had gone away, she had used her power to like keep him alive or something. So I almost wonder if there is a certain path that is your path. There's a certain way of going about doing things that is your way. But for whatever reason, your way doesn't align, or your way doesn't exactly look like everyone else's way. And maybe there's someone that you really sort of look up to, admire, respect, someone that I don't want to say put on a pedestal. Um, and they sort of like, it's like you just like listen to their advice and you hold their words as gold or whatever. But it's like their way is not your way. Because it's the siren, it almost feels like, I don't know if they necessarily say it or if you would just feel it, but it feels like your way is bad. But it's like whatever naturally works for you, whatever is your path, your journey. Like it feels like that's what causes it to like call to you. But maybe you're afraid that you'll drown if you follow it. And with the vessel here, it's like It's not that you're complete as is, but it's like your body, your makeup, your being is suited for whatever this way is. Like your vessel was created for this. Like that's the alignment sort of between these two. But as you continue to try to sort of like force or mold your way to fit someone else's, that's what puts pressure on this and it makes it this elliptical shape rather than the circle that we see in all these other, in all these other cards. And with the card of completion being here, with you skipping the liquid phase, it's almost like you're adding more work to your journey. And again, like your card is sublimation. So if someone else has to go solid, liquid, gas, or if someone else has to go through the liquid phase to achieve that gas state, your paths are already different because you go from solid immediately to gas. There is no liquid for you. You can create one, I guess. You can force it, sure, but it's like you could be so much farther if you stopped holding yourself up to other standards, or maybe like you just compare yourself to other people or something like that. Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess I would say as an exercise, stop watching this video. Don't watch anything I post ever again. I mean, feel free to not. But it's, I don't know, like just follow your own guidance or intuition. Um, because also with this dove, maybe there's a certain way that, because there was like a hierophant energy with the thread, the temple, and the unseen, where it's like because of something structured, because of something, and it's not that structure is bad. It's almost like it's a general sort of like foundation. Some people can go pretty far off of general. Some people general only does so much, and then you have to get into specifics. Now, it feels like any specific that you would need is it's very accessible to you. It just may not necessarily fit a mold that a lot of other things might fall into. Um, and I forget where I was going with that. But there's something about the sublimation, like the dove in the middle of this, and then like this outside. There's something about this on the inside. I think the snowman is also interesting because it was that like be in the moment, right? When it's the season for the snowman, you know, it's intact, and when the season passes, it'll melt, and we don't have to freak out about the melting. But it also like it doesn't feel like that's necessarily the case for you. because something about you or something within you is different. It's more suited for this other thing. And so maybe that's the Heraith energy. Again, that's the like you're searching for something, but you're not even looking for what you think you're searching for. It's almost like you'll never find it. And that's just because, like, again, it's like it's within you. And maybe it's for you to sort of like bring that into the world to birth it. And then maybe there'll be other people who actually sort of align to your path a little bit more closely, or there'll be people who like operate much in a way that you sort of operate, but there isn't a person or an example of that being done out there. So like everyone's looking and searching for this thing that maybe they can almost find in some things, but not quite fully. So it's definitely a time to be you and operate as you. This is like, it's heavy, like cardinal energy feeling, but very like, I want to say like Aries Cancer more specifically. Not that that matters. So that's it for you, one. Do you and see how far it'll take you. And then also see how many people actually relate. It's almost like it's one of those things where there's like a club or a group or something, and everyone's doing whatever. And like everyone's trying to, or like you're trying to fit in. And so you're doing your best. But then one day something happens. Oh, I love the remembrance card here. Yeah, it's definitely like in you and within you with this new moon energy behind remembrance. Something that isn't seen currently. Um, but it's like one day you're like, you know what? Like, I can't pretend anymore. I'm sorry, but like, this isn't me. And then someone else is like, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one. Like, like this isn't me either. And then like you find out that no one who was in that circle is actually whatever. They've all been pretending, or they've all been putting on to fit in. And in that way, it's a very like Three of Cups sort of energy that can emerge out of it. But it's the Three of Cups for me specifically in the Pride Tarot. When it talks, because that one talks about like not only just acknowledging our differences, but like celebrating them. And how when we come together and we bring our differences to the table, it makes us stronger. Almost like an immune, right? A healthier, more robust immune system can respond to many, many, many threats because it has the library to sort of recognize something when it comes in that's not supposed to be there. But if it keeps conforming to just like allow everything and everyone, then, you know, you get sick. And that's a metaphor, of course. You know, I'm not trying to come for anyone's immunocompromised situation potentially. So, very, very interesting. Siren of the Mermaid. Siren of the Mermaid. Yes, Siren of the Ocean. So, number 2, we're going to start you at 54 minutes on the dot. So, number 2, if you are fresh here, go to about 25 minutes in the video and I explain it. But let's just get right into it. Oh, here's your card. I was like, how am I going to do this? Okay, here you go. Ooh. This feels like pile 1, but with less struggle. I forgot that that card was the snap. I forgot that that card was there. There's like one card in the animals that's been snap. And so I knew what that card was. I'm just gonna go ahead and get your number now. Oh, snap. So pile 2, you are the plane. And is so let's oh, that was oh no. Oh, it's magic. You know. 4 card. I'm not gonna take these 4 cards, but I'll mention them. So again, like I said, it kind of feels like pile 1, but I think I said sweeter. There's like less resistance. Pile 1, it feels like it's coming to terms with like listening to that inner voice. You start with completion, self love, togetherness, and fortune. Your cards, the lover, the bridge, and the nectar. Oh, you even got an insect. It's not a bee for the nectar, but it is a bug. Fortune just flipped right back over. I'm trying to get the card for the plane. I only want like one. Okay. Give me like one card, please. Oh, that's 3. Nope, I almost took them. That was like 3 cards. There we go. Ooh, that this card like it flipped in the deck real smooth, real smooth. Oh, thank you, Holly. Oh, it's 2 cards. Darn it. So your cards, it's divination and ancestors, and then the bottom of the deck is creativity. I love this. It feels like you have a healthy connection to your ancestors, and it's not because of creativity. It might not necessarily be like the standard typical way that we connect with our ancestors, and because of that, it makes your connection feel alive in a way. Not that any other way doesn't feel alive, but it's just like there's an element of, I don't want to say vibrancy, vitality to it. I'm like, hold up, where did my quarter go? Where's the quarter? It's fine. The lover, the bridge, and the nectar. You got the 7 of Cups at the top of the deck. Your animal is the dragonfly, and then the Father of Swords was at the bottom. I love the dragonfly. Russ at Rustling Around, he talks about the nymph that becomes the dragonfly. So it emerges from the water, it inflates itself, and then it takes off. That's the abridged version. And in the 7 of Cups, it's like that same energy, right? You start in one, at a certain point, you transition into another, and then you take off, you fly. Your alchemy card is Aries, number 5. We've seen Aries before. It's interesting that Aries came out because the lover is here. So it's a lover and a fighter. It fights for what it loves. Oh, the bridge. The bridge with ancestors, like it feels like a connection that's alive. Yeah, the bridge. You like peep across the veil? Do you like live on both sides of the veil or something? You know what I mean? Physical body on this side of the veil, but the rest of you's on the other side or something. What? The dragonfly is like an ancient knowing, knowledge, or wisdom. The Father of Swords is also knowledge and I guess wisdom. it feels like not all of this dragonfly, but some of it, a good a functional majority of it you have. There might be like a few things that you don't like fully know or understand, but that's fine. With the Seven of Cups, it's like this one cup pointed towards the sun is enough. The thing about the King of Swords over here for me as a reader, and I'm doing the reading, so that's why it came out for me. So I get this, right? I believe that we can all read, but Spirit will sort of show us what it needs to show us for us to get the message. So, what I need to get this message might be completely different from what someone else needs to get the same message. You know what I mean? Because we all have our own associations and experiences. So, anyway, the King of Swords in its light is the one that understands and knows that there are things that it does not understand or know. And instead of trying to overanalyze and instead of trying to over intellectualize and anything that it can't prove with a certain certainty and concreteness, it discards. The King of Swords in its light accepts it. It's like, I don't have an explanation for this, but just because I don't have an explanation for it, or just because I can't reason away to logic, doesn't mean that the phenomena that I'm witnessing does not exist. The lack of proof is not disproof. And it feels like there's a certain openness that you have that allows that ancestral presence and maybe divination, like it could be the divine. It's like there's a certain space of allowance that you leave for it. So it's like that divine energy can come in and it can work as it needs to. And so maybe that's what like really completes this bridge, or maybe that's what makes this energy just feel so smooth. And you get right to the nectar. I kind of wish I had, like, I'd rather read the nectar card. Oh, snap, because the bottom of the deck is the sap of the moon plant. The sap of the moon plant is at the bottom of the archetypes with the Four of Cups, the Eight of Swords, and the Six of Swords at the bottom of the tarot. And it was like, oh, like, I don't know if the butterfly or the caterpillar feeds on the sap of the moon plant, but you have the nectar right here and the dragonfly. So again, like, it's not, I don't know what dragonflies typically eat. I didn't think they pollinate flowers or anything, so wouldn't imagine them eating nectar, but dragonflies can do what they want to, right? Oh, look. It's different colored, but the flowers, yeah, you're like, pile two is like on it. This is actually one of the piles that I pulled from the bottom of the deck. I pulled your card from the bottom instead of the top. I just felt it. I pulled it from the bottom instead of the top. I don't even know if you know what you're holding space for. I honestly don't think you care. There's such a trust in this pile that it's like, maybe that's why it just feels so like connected and so comfortably led. But I will read Mars for you, just in case if you haven't heard it, or maybe something else will speak to me. Aries Mars is will, vigor, and activism. With Mars by our side, we can assert ourselves in the world. Our presence is felt and our voice is heard. Like a flame, Mars rises upward and helps us stand strong for what we believe in. Social justice movements are a great example of Mars's energy in action. With clarity of purpose, Mars leads us to peaceful change. the upholding of human rights, and representing the unrepresented. When Mars appears in a reading, there is strength and vigor required to face the challenges ahead. It may take the form of speaking your truth, getting yourself out of a harmful relationship or job, or getting involved in activist work. As alchemists, we must be very precise with our dosage of Mars. As in uncontrolled amounts, it leads to outbursts and violence. Mars is most potent when paired with ahimsa, nonviolence. Well, ahimsa ain't here, but the nectar is here. You know what I mean? This is just like gorgeous. Like there's such a strong connection here. And there's so much, like sacrum was the card that flipped out of the alchemy cards, sugar. And you have the nectar right here. The numbers, the lover is number 17. The bridge is number 38. The nectar is number 58. The seven of cups. And then Mars is number 5. If you were curious. I feel like there's not much more to say, but I do feel like there's an opportunity for your understanding to increase. It almost feels like your understanding is going to increase in a practical way. And so maybe with this connection, there's been a lot of almost like things that would just happen, or like the wheels would be greased for you. Not to say that you've never experienced challenge, struggle, strife, whatever, because that's not the case. Like, that's not the energy that I'm feeling. And, I don't know if you've always been this connected, whatever, if it's something that you reached as you've gone about your journey. You know what I mean? I don't know. But it almost feels like some of the things that you had learned to accept, and in your acceptance of them, things like generally smoothed out for you. It almost feels like there's going to be something for you to learn now in those ways and areas and aspects. So maybe you're going to be coming into like a secret 2.0, or like there's some new cosmic universal law that was previously either unknown or mistranslated, miscommunicated, or it's a lot deeper than we thought it was. And now you're going to get the secret to real quantum manifestation. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Or maybe it's something completely different that is to be imparted upon you, but it feels like you're in a position to receive some kind of gift. Or maybe your gifts are going to go through an evolution or an upgrade. Maybe you're going to discover that you have gifts that you've been using that you didn't even know that you were using in a way, too. It is interesting though, because it feels like there is an almost it's like taking the training wheels off, but it's different. I don't know. I have no clue. This was interesting. I mean, if you're so connected to like the universe and your ancestors and guides, I'm sure they will be able to communicate to you more directly whatever it is that is next for you. But it feels like it's time for like your understanding to deepen. It's time for the gap between the Father of Swords and the Father of Swords and the Dragonfly to close a little bit. It's also interesting that in Mars you have the glyph for fire, and in the dragonfly you have the glyph for air. But the dragonfly, or you have the glyph for water here, fire there, but it's coming out under air, which is a meeting of fire and water. It's the generation of steam. Which is, again, it's interesting because it's different than sublimation, though, because that's liquid going to a gas. But pile one was becoming air too. So, anyway, that's what I got. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting on limits, make all that you wish to experience your reality and the way that it's reading you clearly and obviously are. So, good on that. Keep that up. Yeah, and it does read like it almost feels like there's going to be a little challenge and there's going to be a little difficulty, but it's not like it's just like the difficulty in learning something new. You know what I mean? Or taking a knowing to the next level. And so when you take it to the next level, there may be some things that you kind of just like, oh, I found the quarter. The quarter was under the ancestors were hiding the quarter. It was under the ancestors card. Um, oh, it's like when your grandpa pulls an ear. Pulls in when your grandpa pulls an ear from behind your quarter. Pulls a quarter from behind your ear. Or your grandma or anybody, when someone pulls a quarter from behind your ear and you're like, oh my gosh. Oh. Old traditions immediately fell out with remembrance again at the bottom of the deck. Remembering old traditions. Old traditions are interesting because it's almost like there could be this view of like, well, certain mythologies exist because there were things that we didn't understand about atmospheric sciences and nature and science at the time. And so those who lived a long time ago personified those things as beings. But with that remembrance, it's like, maybe the myths are onto something. I don't know. Okay. So that's you, number two. Interesting, interesting, interesting. All the best in that journey. Number three. Number three. Number three. Number three. 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 We're gonna timestamp you at 1:13:30 because by the time I get done typing this, it will be 3/1/13:30. And I'll put these in the description box after the video so it'll index. I love chapters. I feel like chapters are the best thing that happened to YouTube in a long time, especially since they work on like the TV. I can't see comments when I'm watching YouTube on the TV. So, oh. So your cards, yeah, that's the word. I want your cards. You have the orphan, the castle, and the ring. The orphan, the castle, and the ring is interesting because right away this is a narrative of someone. I started too with the scratch off. They got the plane. Um, Thanks for checking though. it's one of those narratives or stories where there's like someone who is an orphan and they have little and they have a rough go at life. And this actually came out when I used the Dungeons and Dragons. I think it was the Dungeons and Dragons Magic the Gathering card set, and I was unboxing them. I was opening the pack, and then I laid them out, and then I read them. It was the story. There was whatever witchy sorceress person. It was at Prison Island, and they were gonna go break somebody out of the prison island, right? And then there was like the dragon dude who the witch sorceress lady convinced that like she somehow gave him some kind of power, but the power was innate within him. And then someone somewhere heard that, oh my gosh, there's some dragon dude somewhere heard that, oh my gosh, there's some dragon dude somewhere out there and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, I wonder if that's the missing noble person's child. And then they go, and the dragon dude tells him, like, she's not where your power comes from. You are of noble blood, and that's why it is so strong within you. And then basically her whole operation falls apart. But anyway, because it's the oh my no! Oh goodness! I went to go pick up my water to take a sip, and like the top popped off, like it was coming up, and the top popped off, and then it slammed back down, and water went everywhere. But it didn't spill over, so thankfully I don't have a mess on the floor. Oof, goodness, that scared me. That scared me. I was like, no. Anyway, because there's the orphan, the castle, and the ring. It's like this orphan is of noble blood. All they arrive at the orphanage with is this ring, right? Now we have the tarot. The top of the deck was the Three of Cups. The animal is the fish. The bottom of the deck is Judgment. The alchemy card is Pluto or Pluton. Let's just do the scratch off. Number 3. Chestnuts roasting over an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. You got fire. Fire. $10. It's interesting that fire comes out for you with all of. Oh, that's Judgment. Fire is Judgment and Pluto. Traditionally, the element of fire. More modernly, Pluto, because of Pluto, Scorpio. But the card of water is right here with the Three of Cups. Interesting. The fire. The fire is what keeps you warm in the wintertime, right? The weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. Solstice. And clear way. Oh! Okay. Solstice and clear way at the bottom of the deck. And look at in the solstice, you see like that band of sort of light because of the gap in the rocks And then the clear way, it's also interesting because there's like, it's almost like the hand of Pluto is wiping the cobwebs off of whatever this is. Pluto is 10, judgment is 20, 3 of cups, 5 is the orphan, 58 is the castle, and 48. 43. The castle is 43, sorry. And then 57 is the ring. 5, 43, 57, 3, 20, and 10. Solstice is making me think of the community room. Let's read Pluto. I feel like this one is like above my head. I just can't get you out of my head. The underworld, power, and compulsion. Pluto's realm is one of deep and undeniable power. With the fish, Pisces, 12th house, underworld, Pluto, there's a connection. Even though Pluto rules Scorpio and it's in the 8th house, still. Pluto's realm is one of deep and undeniable power. Known as the planet of the underworld, Pluto has a captivating effect that pulls us into its depths, leading to all things excessive and Dionysian in nature. Images of the resurrection, Pluto, wiping off the cobwebs. I will say, I know I saw the gazelle earlier and I was like, shout out to the rare gazelle. The last Pisces reading that the rare gazelle did talked about 2 gateways of resurrection. If you pick this, maybe that has something for you. Images of the resurrection, possession, the sacred heart, birth, sex, and death are all symbol of Pluto's volatile energy. When this card shows up, know that everything will be amplified as if through a live wire. It's all about power, and maybe even addiction. Though Pluto's force field can be ruthless, this tiny planet pushes us toward necessary growth. When we follow its mesmerizing pulse, we are taken into the depths to be changed. There's no point in pretending the underworld is not at work. Admit that you're in it and find the support you need. Not making it worse is a big accomplishment. So, but see, these cards, they make me think of Jesus. And how after he was crucified, he went down and freed some of the souls in hell or whatever, right? The ones that didn't stand a chance before, because it's like he paid in blood in his sacrifice to cover those of us who came after that sacrifice, to make it a little easier to get through the pearly gates. But for everyone who was already judged before that sacrifice happened, it's like it was back credited to them. But it feels like there's some conversation happening in the upper world. And then in this resurrection, like something descends from the upper world to open up. It's the clear way. Something is cleared and then things move up. Five loaves and 2 fish. Was the 2 fish and 5 loaves and 2 fish Pisces? What's 5 loaves? I don't know. Anyway. I'm like, what is this? The orphan, the castle, the ring. Solstice. I feel like solstice doesn't help me much. But if this is the all winter oracle, then the winter solstice, it's the day of longest night. It's the day when there's the most nighttime in that day. And we have Pluto here talking about the underworld. But because the solstice is the solstice, that it's one of those like there's nowhere to go but up. Because the days are going to get longer and longer and longer until we hit the equinox, where they'll balance out, and then when we hit the summer solstice, it's the day of longest light. Oh, snap. Well, it's different because I was like in this story, it's like there's the orphan that came from the castle, but nobody knows. But both the orphan and the castle have this like pink flower. And then like there's the ring that the orphan is like left with. So for those who know, they'll see the ring and know who that orphan is. But if someone in the castle is orphaned, then there's obviously something going on in the castle, right? I feel like more often than not in the stories, noble people don't get orphaned for the sake of it. It's like I had to hide you away, so you know. Anyway, I feel like these get more and more difficult to sort of like follow. So I'm like, what is this? Where are we going? Like, I really want to clarify this ring or solstice. Cobwebs on Pluto. Is there another ancestral energy here? Yes. Is it the same as Pal 2? No. Because this one, it feels like there's a disconnect. Like whatever's happening in the Three of Cups, it feels like it's completely different, or it's like it's in this completely different space until the decision is made, until the dragon dude from over there reaches the dragon dude that's on the island prison and lets him know the truth. Like, this is the dragon dude coming to the island prison dragon dude to let him know the truth of who he is and to let him know Pluto power. His power doesn't come from that sorceress, enchantress, whatever. His power comes from the fact of who he is. And the ring also signifies a promise. Thanks, Holly. I'm just like, wait. I really want to clarify something, but I don't because these are long enough. The starfish was at the bottom of the animal deck. There's something about this fish, too. It feels like there's something surging and swelling within the orphan, but it's not remembrance. Because the orphan wouldn't necessarily have any memories. The dragon dude on the island was recognized because of something that he was doing. What he was doing was almost literally existing. Well, it was existing in a way that was authentic to him. And because he was existing in a way that was authentic to him, the people who were looking for him knew where he was. The castle in this deck is always weird to me. But the ring, it feels like some kind of promise. I don't know. This is one of those real take it as it resonates. And I guess I would invite you. I almost wish I was reading this with you seeing the table, like the one time I'm not showing the table, right? Because then it would be like, pause the video here, look at these cards, and maybe pull some of your own to get where you're going to connect this to you. But again, it's just like there's something in authentic being an authentic expression. But and again, like the message of Pluto was to not be consumed by that power and to not think that you're any better or any worse than anybody. What did it say? Acts of service will help keep this in balance. Oh, darn it. I was just on the page. Oh, Chiron, get out of here. Wait, or was that the other one? Was that the other one? That was number 5. No, Mars didn't talk about acts of service. Why would Mars talk about acts of service? So it had to be in here somewhere. It's all about power, maybe even addiction, though Pluto's force field can be ruthless. When we follow its mesmerizing, we take them to the depths to be changed. Was it the first one? Maybe it was the first one. We're gonna amplification is a powerful alchemical operation. Notice what thoughts and speech you amplify throughout the day and adjust as necessary. In palmistry, it is said that the energy of Pluto resides in the mound of the hand above the heart line and below the head line. Locate your mound of Pluto. I don't know what that means, but if you Google palmistry, headline, heartline, you can find your mound, I'm sure. What card was that? It had to be for the first one. Now I gotta blow my nose. 1 second. I feel like I got a boogie. All right. I know some people don't like that, so that's what I got for you, pile 3. Keep going with the flow, apparently. Because you're getting closer to something and you may not even necessarily know it. But as you approach it, it approaches you. And one day you're going to meet, and something is going to make a whole lot of sense. When that happens, though, you're going to make whatever choice and decision you make. I guess, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, these go back in there. So that's you, the fire. Uh, what about the fire? Again, fire is the thing that keeps you warm in winter. Um, so maybe it's one of those like even when you were alone or even when you felt alone, you weren't. There was always someone there with you, someone named whatever you have for that someone. I'm already pulling the cards out. Ooh. For pile four. This is a card that I've seen before. We've actually seen 1, 2, 3, 4 of these cards. 4 cards that we've seen for pile 4, 135, 40. Pile 4, 1, 35, 50. I'm bumping it up 10 seconds because I type slow. 135.50. And there we go, 135.50. Exactly. So, number 4. Yours is interesting. So, your who is the poet. Your where, again, is gnosis. Your what is the mirror. Oh, see the moon in the mirror? Is that what the poet has in its hands? Wait. Maybe it's because we're in October and the veil is thin or something. I'm like, what are these? 6 of Cups at the top of the deck. The mouse is your animal. 2 of Swords at the bottom. An eclipse. Your alchemy card is gold. I mean, gold and alchemy, that's the magnum opus. Congratulations. Congratulations. You won. You remember when those things, those pop ups used to, your computer would randomly go, congratulations, you won. And then something would pop up. You are the 1 millionth person to visit this website. You win. Whatever. Who's fishing? Somebody fishing. Fishing with a PH. I feel like pulling one of these before I even scratch it off. I'm just filling it for you, number 4. Oh. 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 You got 3 cards. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Hold up. Ooh. Okay. Well, the path to love is the bottom of the deck for you. So you have higher purpose in Nia and higher. Higher purpose. Spirit being is the first card that popped out. And then you have gold. Let's scratch it off. Why not? Why not? You might win the jackpot. And by you I mean me. Oh, sorry. Well, we didn't win pile 4. So you got the stocking, and it's $1. Stocking. Stocking is interesting. Oh, stocking is really interesting. Stocking is really interesting because your how is gold. It's gold. You know how they say the best things come in small packages? And it's almost like it could be really easy to dismiss a stocking stuffer as like it's not the great big box, so you don't think it's what you want or whatever, but there's a solid gold nugget put in your stocking. And it's like, oh well, there's the real prize, right? So something about you was very unassuming. I think that's the word I want. I feel like you definitely wouldn't necessarily be the type to flaunt things necessarily. Gold is number 26. The poet is number 7. Gnosis is number 75. The mirror is number 68. Six of Cups and the Two of Swords. That's 29. Aurum, gold. It's illumination, splendor, and culmination. The alchemist's gold is no ordinary gold. It is not found in rings or coins or necklaces. It is a substance buried deep within, sometimes referred to as gold of the wise, philosophic gold, the ethereal stone, or the divine quintessence, among countless other names. For our purposes, we seek not the physical metal, but the mystical essence within each alchemist. How do we recognize it? It mimics qualities of the metal itself, soft and radiant, and its planetary counterpart, the sun, warm and bright. It's no wonder gold is associated with the heart. When this card arrives, there is something of incredible value at hand. It is marvelous and rare. Cherish it, get to know its properties and its source. The gold card carries a distinct shadow. If mistaken for a purely physical material, it can lead to greed and excess, causing the alchemists to lose their way. Reverence is the key. So this is real slippery slope territory. That's why the mouse is here, though. The modest mouse is here because it's not going to get caught up in that. It's also interesting, again, like I'm pretty sure $1 is the lowest numerical value that these things have. I think $1 is the lowest numerical value these things have. I don't think any of them come out with cents. You know what I mean? And I feel like there was one of them in Cancer that was like this too. It was almost like what has the lowest dollar amount was like whatever. It's like this inverse relationship between physical and sort of physical and spiritual. So what's up with this mirror then? Oh, higher purpose is interesting. Higher purpose is interesting for gold because gold can be used. It's almost like gold can be used to do a lot of things. Like because of its malleability or whatever, it feels like it has certain properties that make it really, really useful in certain applications. So there is worth in gold beyond its shininess. And it feels like because gold is gold, it could be really easy for some people to try to accumulate it almost for the sake of having it. That's the energy of greed and excess. But it's almost like what's the good of having so many if it just sits somewhere? Or having so much of it if it just sits? Like there are practical things that it could be doing. The poet in Gnosis is interesting because it feels like the energy of four yours is an energy that feels very the jester. It's a very fool energy where it's like it's extremely wise. It is very smart. It knows exactly what it's doing, but it doesn't appear that way. Almost intentionally. More often than not, very intentionally. Because it's like with the gnosis, the poet in gnosis and this gold with the mouse, it reads as very like it's like someone's like, oh well, if I had what you had, I would be doing this and I would be doing that and I would be doing a million different other things. But for you, it's almost like you know or you feel that there are better ways to use it. That's why the higher purpose is here. That's also why the spirit being is here. Spirit being for gold, with what the book literally just talked about. This is very like on point. And with the Six of Cups, it feels like there's a very deep and a very rich connection to who, I don't know. With the Two of Swords down here, it feels like because it's the eclipse, it feels like there's an alignment of maybe the physical and the spiritual here. This is another one. Like I feel like honestly, a lot of these I wish I'd like could pull more cards, and I can. Like no one's stopping me from pulling more, but and there's also it's almost like something about the way you express yourself or something about your mere presence. I don't know if gold is a purifier, but it feels like something about your presence, just like the transmutation and the alchemy that happens within you, it effortlessly and naturally also occurs outside of you. So it's like your presence alone can energetically clear spaces. But maybe that's just like the power and intentionality of the vibration that you hold, because that's the easiest way to communicate it. It's like your vibration pulls other things into it rather than it being dragged down by other things. It's very strong. And it's because your root system is so strong. Very unassuming, though. With the mouse, it's like you'd never expect it. I don't know if that's intentional. It doesn't necessarily matter. Well, talking about the jester, I think it is intentional. A little bit. This stocking. Who would have thought? So, yeah. I mean, what would I have for pile four? I guess it's like don't discredit or discount yourself. And I feel like it's also one of those, it's like it feels like it can be very possible for you to do a lot more for people than you might realize. And so I don't know if like you're one of those empaths that feels so much for other people, and it's all, and maybe you're like, oh, I wish I could do more, I wish I could do more, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that, I wish I could do whatever. But it feels like your presence alone does a lot, and what you are able to do, what you do. I'm sorry. It means a lot, and that impact goes far, and it's like that transmutation that you sort of spark. It's almost like in the exchange there's that initial whatever, but it feels like it's an impression that lasts, so it continues to sort of like spark, and then that person grows and becomes whatever, and then that spreads and it spreads and it spreads, right, until we're all golden, and then we can thank you for the golden age that we experience next. Since that last one was cut short by Zeus, I'm just there were other Olympian gods associated with it, you know. Should have just left everything in the hands of the Titans. Kidding, 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 kidding. But yeah, this mirror is interesting because I feel like I haven't necessarily touched on it too much. Um, but whenever I look into the mirror, it gives me this like hall of mirrors energy. It's like if you hold a mirror up to a mirror and then you just see like the reflection bounce back, then back and back. So I'm just going to take that as like it's not for me to gaze into whatever this mirror is to try to find the answer for you. That's for you. Because it'll just like bounce me up and down and run around. Talking about your romance. Keep on whispering in my ear. Tell me other things. It's fine. Maybe you are what somebody likes about you. Maybe you're like, I can't imagine like why, blah 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 blah. I'm talking like you are path to love. That's why we love you. Because you are that path to love. And it's because of you and through you that we get to experience that higher. And maybe that's all the purpose that there is to it. To you are the portal through which we experience the higher. And after we experience higher, it's like once you get a taste, you know, you gotta keep going. Who is this? Is this for you? Sure. Self-determination with exchange at the bottom of the deck. Self-determination and exchange. I immediately think with that mirror, it was like maybe that mirror, maybe it's trying to get like you to see something. And that's why it's like every time you look into the mirror, it just like bounces back. I don't know if your universe, if your world is trying to communicate something to you that you're struggling to see. And so maybe it's like one of those things where like you're self-conscious about something, but people continuously compliment you on that thing. And you're like, thanks, but like I can't believe it. If only I could see it too, but thank you, I appreciate it. Like you're golden. I don't know. Number 5, we're gonna say 153, 45. Hopefully 153, 45. Hey, I made it. Oh, 5. Oh, 5. Oh, 5. Saturn. Yours also came from the bottom of the deck. 2 and 5 got pulled from the bottom. This is the one I was looking at when I was putting the cards away, and I just like kept looking at it. This is interesting. Saturn. When I was just at the end of pile 4, I was talking about that golden age and how Zeus and the other Olympian gods ruined it by displacing the Titans. Well, here's Saturn with his scythe associated with like agriculture, harvest, stuff like that, right? It was a simpler time, apparently. Ooh. Ooh. Who did 2 have? 2 was Mars. 2 was the sweet one. It was the lover, the bridge, and nectar. Okay. So you have who, the shadow, where, the mountain, how, Saturn, with what, the mask. Why, the chariot, the black egg, the nine of wands. It's almost like there's something that you drive to completion. Something that's been stalled for a hot minute. Are you the winner? We're just going to go right for the scratch. If you don't know what I'm doing and you skipped right to this part, you can go to about 25 minutes in the video and you'll see exactly what's happening. Now, yours is interesting. You get the horn and it's $20. It's interesting because number 20 is judgment. And in judgment, the horn is being blown. So yours is the easiest scratch off to read. And I would look before and after judgment if I could, but I can't. So let's see. Who is this on the table? That's fine. For number 5. Oof. It like slid out. Well, it was going up right, and then another card put it back face down. Oh gosh. What's up with all the cards after having all these oracles? Am I keeping all of these? Yes. How am I going to read these? I don't know. Oh, do I have to do this? Pile 5. Yours is interesting, I guess, in a way. In a way it is, in a way it's not. Um, so the oracle cards that you get, despondency. Despondency came out all by itself. And then performance, cooperative economics, and travel all came out together. So it's interesting, again, that Saturn pops up after I'm talking about the previous golden age and how the Olympian gods ruined it when they usurped whatever and then proceeded to be petty and just do stuff to people and to each other and for why. But so it feels like there was that whole there's something with that with the black egg, the chariot, and the nine of wands. It's like there's something that we haven't been able to reach for some time, and you're going to drive us there. The interesting part is you have the shadow, the mountain, and the mask. So it's almost like with that despondency, it's a very almost jaded like like this is it. Like you said you could do it better. You said you had this great idea and this is it. I could have done better. But it's almost like at the same time the world isn't what it was when you were whatever. the situation, the environment has changed. So it's interesting and it's a little jaded in that way. Um, and it feels like I don't know. The shadow, the mountain, and the mask. The shadow is number 28. Sorry, the shadow is 28. The mountain is 33. The mask is 61. The seven of pentacles, the nine. All right, so the seven of pentacles, the chariot, and then the nine of wands. Saturn is number 8. It's number 7. Sorry, I'm tired. It's number 7. The shadow of the mountain. This is those who have been cast aside. And then we have the mask. With performance, I don't. Oof. Let me just read Saturn and see if I can not. See if I can pick up on where this is going. Because maybe this isn't what it's appearing to be. Saturni, Saturn. Structure, authority, consequences. Saturn is known as the great ruler, the authoritative father, and the structuring force. Limitations, rules, logistics, and laws all fall under Saturn's claim, and they insist on our adherence. Saturn constricts. It corrects. It governs. The force of this planet is mind-bogglingly. The force of this planet is mind-bogglingly. Bogglingly? It doesn't sound like a real word. It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Boggling. Bogglingly. Mind-bogglingly. Sorry. Frustrating. Especially for creative types, as it can feel like one limitation after another. Yet, its ability to support is unmatched. No creative project can come to be without the Saturnian qualities of commitment, endurance, and steadiness. The tick of the clock reminds us of this planet's steadfast presence, eternally measuring. It's no surprise it's associated with the metal lead and the qualities of density and weight. To embrace Saturn is to embrace the foundation and become one's own central authority. It's not as dull or easy as it sounds. That's Saturn's secret. Ironically, and to the amusement of anarchists everywhere, the authoritarian energy of Saturn is said to reside in the middle finger. That is funny. Saturn is deeply related to time and chronology. It is linked to the Greek god Chronos and to Father Time. Consider your relationship with the clock today, and above all, don't be late. Do 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 do. What is this? Do 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 do. I don't know what this is. I think there's another. So here's another story line thread. Saturn has released control. Saturn's taken a back seat. Saturn's been tired of having the narrative of the controlling, authoritarian, whatever pushed upon it. Saturn was tired of no one appreciating what timelines give us. And so Saturn's like, okay, fine. And it feels like everything is falling apart because of it. um, but it feels like Saturn is also waiting in the wing. It's like lurking in the shadows, not in a malicious way, in a way of like it's ready to take the reins and to like resume doing what it was doing whenever we say Granddaddy Saturn. It'll come back and it'll bring things back to some semblance of order. Um, but I think it's almost like two at the same time. In Saturn's absence, it notices how everything falls apart, but it notices what it's almost like it notices the fruits of unbridled creation. And so there's some real the word like perspectives or opportunities, not perspectives, prospectives, that's the word, right? Something promising. But Saturn would have noticed it had it been ever present, had it remained as close. So when Saturn does come back, it's going to come back in a different way. It's going to come back in a way that feels more like a schedule that works for us rather than one that we have to sort of conform to. And so for pile five, it's judgment, right? It's the horn, it's literally judgment. So I don't know if like a pile five would relate to Saturn. I don't know if like you would be someone who others would refer to as like type A or overbearing. But it feels like it feels like there's a space that was created, but when things come back together, it's going to be a lot of appreciation. Um, this mask is interesting because it feels like it's like peeking out from behind the corner. This is the corner. Like this is the side of a mountain, and it's like popping out. This feels like Virgo. And it just feels like Virgo because to me, Virgo feels like a lot of behind the scenes things that we don't necessarily. It feels like it's like stuff that we wouldn't even know to appreciate, right? So it's like if you every time you go to a meeting at work or every time you go to a certain place, it's always like nice and clean and the donuts are there, the coffee is there, and everyone comes in and they're like, okay, there's a little muttering before the meeting starts and people are mingling and stuff. It's like there's an appreciation, an unspoken maybe almost appreciation for the environment as it's prepared when we enter that space. But you don't necessarily think of like the people who have to clean, the people who have to go out and prepare, make the donuts, the people that got to bring them, the ones that like get the coffee pot brewing. Like you don't necessarily think of the people who set everything up. That's why it's like more behind the scenes. And it's easy to not, it feels like it's easy to like, it's not that we don't appreciate it. It's like it's easy to overlook certain things. Right? And so maybe it's like you're tired of being overlooked. And so you say something to somebody, and maybe they don't even fully know or whatever. Maybe you don't like necessarily say it. Maybe you're just like, I'm going to stop doing this. And then people are like, whoa, what's going on? Why isn't whatever here? Because it doesn't necessarily feel like there's a conversation that's had. You know what I mean? But it feels like there's a part of you that enjoys doing it. And so it feels like there's a time away or there's a time off that benefits a lot of people in different ways. Um, and maybe that appreciation and that acknowledgement, maybe something that's discovered in that point in time, is going to be what actually leads to the completion of the 10 where we have this 9 of wands, because it's like there's the moon up there. It's like we don't even know the things that we don't know. You know what I mean? And so I think it's like it would definitely be a time to have conversations as best you can, to talk to people. Because with the shadow and the mountain and the mask, like that's also an energy of like hiding your displeasure or not being upfront and honest about how you really feel. But if you're not upfront and honest about how you really feel, then how is anyone supposed to know how you really feel? How is someone supposed to know that you feel unappreciated if every time it's almost like every time it would come up, you'd be like, oh yeah, no, it's fine, when it isn't. And so this black egg, it does make me think again of the rare gazelle, and like I'm pretty sure for her it's the like speak your truth card, because it was a whole thing in gates 5, 6, 7 in that area. And it's like until that truth is spoken, there's something that can't be realized. It's always going to be the moon. But it feels like it's a truth that is, it's like it's felt, but it's not fully realized until whatever happens. And so for pile 5, it's like there's a certain flow maybe to life right now. Go with that flow. Trust that eventually, at the end of the day, at some point, Zeus and his brothers and sisters are going to know what it's like to be in that seat or to be in those seats. And they're going to know that it's more than just like doing whatever you want whenever you want. And in the meantime, get into gardening, because the plants will appreciate it. Oh, look, I didn't even catch this travel in the chariot. And I guess again, I guess I would sort of want to mention, just to like be mindful, or aware. keep your awareness open if you do eventually say something, because it feels like everyone can learn something in this situation. So if there is something that you say, it feels like there's also something for you to learn, and it's more than just like trying to teach somebody else a lesson. You know what I mean? Booed Up is at the bottom of the deck. I think it's going to work out when it comes back. But something about that was necessary because of what it highlights and illuminates to all parties involved. Take it as it resonates, 5. Also, just in general, it's like, don't be afraid to speak up for yourself. You know what I mean? So hopefully in the future you can reach you can say something before you reach a boiling point and things come crashing down and we see the wrath of Saturn. Right? Saturn is feeling like the tower right now for some reason. Solstice just flipped over again. Solstice in fight or flight. Solstice is balancing. It's when, no, that's the equinox. Solstice is the tipping point. The tipping point with fight or flight. Bottom of the deck is faith. Is that Imani? Yeah, Imani. Oh, gosh. And then melting. I like melting. Because melting feels like there's an understanding that's going to be had. The ice is going to melt. Right? Have faith. Oh, it's fine. Pile 6. Pile 6. You're my last chance to win some cash. Not that it's about the money. I know that's where I'm going. Pile 6. 2. 1850. Close enough. So pile 6. Yours was another interesting one. So you have the 1 and the womb. I'm like, oh snap! What's that energy about? What's that about? The 1, the womb, and the seed. Okay. The 1, the womb, and the seed. All right. The 1 is 30. The womb is 46. The seed is 66. 30, 46, 66. You have the 6 of Wands, the Nightingale, the Fool, and Jupiter. We just had Saturn. Now here's Jupiter. Jupiter is number 6. Lots of 6s here. Lots of 6s going on, and then a 30. You know, a 3. 3s are half of 6. Let's see. I'm gonna just scratch it off right now. Oh, snap. Well, well, well. Now I thought 50 was. Oh, that's interesting. So number two had the plane and $50. You have $500 and the dove. Both fly. I thought the $50 was going to be the highest, but in comes Pal 6 with Jupiter. Jupiter's expansion. Like, oh, you thought that was it? Well, let me show you. And it's coming in, and this dove is the one with the olive branch, right? The dove and the olive branch. Now, we got a nightingale. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I don't even know what these are for. For whenever you come across them, however they resonate. Now, this is a card that we've seen quite a few times, actually. But it was always at the bottom of the deck. Remembrance and home. Remembrance and home. Love this energy. The one, the womb, the seed, the Six of Wands, the nightingale, the fool, Jupiter, and remembrance. Let's start by reading Jupiter number 6. Oh, I just closed the book and slapped the fool. What time is it? Jupiter is expansion, possibility, and fortune. Jupiter is often a welcome sight, emerging from the darkness, shimmering with possibilities. It is the planet of growth, expansion, success, and elevation. When this card appears, the future is full and bright, perhaps even dazzling. Everyone wants to be around Jupiterian energy and to claim a little for themselves, so there is likely a magnetic feeling at play. The work is to keep Jupiter's bigness in balance during the wave of expansion that's taking place. Its shadow is most easily seen in celebrity culture, excess consumption, and messaging of never enough. You may begin comparing yourself with others or assessing your value. Don't double judge yourself for this. Jupiter happens. Instead, realign with the benevolent message in your heart. What truly needs expanding? It's likely not your followers or your bank account. Mhm. Every time I see this nightingale, I'm like, what is nightingale? And not Miss Florence. Remembrance is interesting. And like the other few times I saw this, it felt like remembering something, but this feels like something done in order to remember someone in a very like honorary way, I guess. The one, the womb, the seed, the Six of Wands, the nightingale, excuse me, the fool, Jupiter, air. I feel like quite a few of these have come out with air. Or maybe it was just the nightingale and the dragonfly. I can't even speak anymore. Maybe it's just like rewards. The one, the womb, the seed. I'm really lost on this one. The length of this is getting to me as well. The one, the womb, and the seed. Oh. Oh. So they say that we're made in the image of the Creator, right? Or that there's a spark of the divine within all of us. Now, that spark can be interpreted as a seed. The seed of the one is within our womb, but not like a physical or a physiological womb. The seed of the one is in the womb of our soul. And it's almost like our soul is the fire that incubates that seed because you incubate seeds. And you, that seed is hatching. It's not an egg. The seed is it's germinating, it's sprouting, it's doing what seeds do. Because of the Six of Wands, victory. It's I don't know if it's a victory and transformation. However, the energies of victory and transformation are related. And then you have the Fool card, right? That would explain this Jupiterian expansion. It's interesting because it feels like this might be an area that somebody was like approaching. I don't remember. I almost want to say pile two because of the Father of Swords. Was pile two the one that had the Father of Swords and the ancestors and divination in the bridge? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was pile two with the dragonfly. But I feel like it's not just pile two, or it's not pile two. So I would assume that humility is something that's going to be important, or it's going to be important to remain and stay grounded in this period of expansion because you don't want to because it's like the seed is growing, right? It's going to become this plant or a tree, and you don't want it to like be uprooted. You want the roots to be strong enough to survive. You want the roots to be strong enough to remain intact whenever a gust of wind comes in or anything, right? You don't want to be easily uprooted, and it feels like whenever we fall into too much pride and whenever we elevate ourselves too much to the point where we elevate ourselves above or over others, that's when it can become very, very easy to fall. I think also it's almost like you could be in the space of receiving a certain idea or whatever. It's like your womb is going to be like your womb, the egg inside your womb is going to be fertilized. at this point, and because of everything that you've already accomplished, because of your triumphs, you're going to be in a position to really nurture and take care of this thing and to see it through. The important piece is going to be to not, it's almost like don't stop having new experiences as you go. So don't get like so comfortable with everything that you've already accomplished that you don't allow yourself to accomplish anything more. That you sort of stagnate yourself in a way. And there's a way I want to try to word this, but it's avoiding me. It's avoiding me. It's escaping me. It's almost like when we can get really not comfortable, but it's like a king or a queen of a certain suit, and like we feel like we made it. And in order to like maintain the throne, we sort of project ourselves as the be all end all, the best that there is. And this journey is nowhere near completion. It's just the Six of Wands. You know what I mean? Like it's a big deal, but it's not the end. It's not the world. It's not a 10. It is recognition, but there's still more to do. That's why you go into the Seven of Wands. That's the more that you have to do, but you go into that more with an element of probably maybe a little bit of a big head because you're riding, like you're coming off of the wave of like being recognized for this major victory and it feels good. So it's not to like take away from all that you've accomplished in any way. It's just like don't stop there. Keep going. And also with the Fool, it's like allow for the unexpected, right? Because there's more to life than everything that you've experienced up to this point. In a way, it's like you're starting a whole new season, a whole new cycle, a whole new chapter. You're becoming a page again. And depending on how you feel about that, or depending on how comfortable you are in the role of a page, that might make the coming time more or less difficult. Right? Like if you're comfortable with being a page, it feels like that beginner's mind, a curiosity, a certain presence will go a long way and it'll smooth the journey. But if you don't want to look like inexperienced or you don't want to appear to be a certain way, so you try to hold on to the crown of the king or the queen, it feels like it's going to rock you because it's reading like nothing that you've ever experienced before. And it's not that your experiences don't prepare you in some way, but again, like your experiences are not the be all end all. And to continue to treat what's coming as if it were everything that you've already experienced, it's to do yourself a great disservice. It it almost feels like you will rob yourself of certain opportunities, or you'll sabotage them, or you'll slow them down or delay them because it's just not what it used to be. And now this remembrance is interesting because it feels like it's forgetting, like how it's like this ghostly blue color, like this remembrance is fading because it's important. And it makes me think of, I think it's Zadkiel in the Angelarium. It's the one associated with memory. And it was like to take something, something else must be left behind. And it's almost very like nothing left, nothing, it's like nothing left will be forgotten. And it's one of those like it'll live on in the body or it'll live on in like a smell that you really like, but you don't remember quite why you love the smell as much as you do. It's like these little things where the impact is still there, but it doesn't have as much weight, or it's like it doesn't confine you as much. And I know a lot of people, and it's fine, we don't have to go there. It's like that's where the remembrance will live, and that's fine. But I mean, it's the one, the womb and the seed, whatever it is, it's big. It's big. And to welcome it, you almost need a capacity just as big. So that is this. That is you, pile six. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Now we're gonna reassemble these and get some vinyl cards. I'm gonna say that's two. I just saw 236.36. We'll say 236.45. That was easy. We got a fair amount of planets: Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, Gold, Mars. A lot of planets, actually. Mars, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter. Oh, sublimation and gold. 4 out of 6 were planets. Take me by the hand, take me by the hand, pretty mama. All night long. Pretty mama, won't you take me by the hand? So what was this? Never chase a dog into a dead end alley. And it's interesting. Well, it's never chase a dog into a dead end alley. Maybe that's why it's Flissa. But does Flissa feel like that? Yeah. Flissa is the platform 9 3/4, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. The dead end isn't a dead end. I don't know if any of these necessarily felt like a dead end. It felt like the unseen is the card that comes out at the end with the judge at the bottom of the deck. Interesting. It feels like that dead end alley is unseen. It's like you don't see the way out. Take me by the hand. Oh, these are not the right cards. I almost put a whole bunch of what's in the wheres. That would not have been great. I would be like, oh my gosh. Now I gotta look through all of these. I would have had what's and where's and who's and why's and how's. Pretty mama, take me by the That's also interesting because Tamiel, Angel of the Unseen, was an energy that I felt recently. The Forest and Gnosis with the castle at the bottom of the deck. The Forest and Gnosis is interesting. It feels like we're wandering the forest, going through this journey. But while we're in the forest, I don't know if I have like a thing for that. While we're in the forest, it's almost like these memories or these thoughts or these feelings sort of start to like penetrate our mind. And we start getting these visuals of this castle. There's this castle in the middle of the forest, but it's incredibly difficult to find. But it's almost like there's a genius loci of the castle, or there's some energy of the castle that calls to people who are in the forest, a certain type of person in the forest. That's this judge. The judge is the evaluator of the individuals in the forest. This castle is unseen. It's impossible to see. But it can pull, it can call to us. Will you follow the call? The dead end isn't a dead end. But it almost makes me think of, I feel like his name was Cypher, but that probably wasn't his name. It was the guy in the Matrix who was like, put me back in. I don't want to know the truth. I want to be able to eat a Matrix steak and taste how tender and juicy and delicious it is. I want the illusion to be real again, please. I can't take reality anymore. Um, I don't know why that made me think of him, but of course, of course, of course, of course, of course. The one card I thought to flipped over again, 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 again. We return to the vow. What is promised? And the venom. Oh, that's interesting. The vow and the venom. They both start with V. The vow is number 54. The venom is number 63. Yeah. The vow is number 63. It's a 369. There's a 63-9 and a 54-9. Both of these are nines. Interesting. The venom, like this, makes me think of the Keeper of Karnak and how it was like at the time, it sort of felt like, because I forget what was like coming out when I was reading at the time, and it made me think of the Keeper of Karnak, but it was like if there's something within the self, it's almost like it preys on that or it amplifies that. And then we almost sort of chase ourselves out of the forest. But the forest is the very place that's like, maybe that's why this dove is granted passage. You can see like it's like there's this hand that's reaching out for the dove, the venom. It's reaching out for the dove, but something within the dove, it's like it doesn't trigger any of these. And so it stops. But it's just like it almost, I don't want to say non-sentient because I feel like that sounds harsh, but it just feels like it's a gated guardian protector. It's just like a protector of the forest. And so it protects the forest. It makes sure that no one of ill intent comes in and destroys one of the last remaining havens on this planet. I don't know. But if you're getting the vision If you have the sight, the intuition, follow it. And I think that's something that sort of came up in all of these in one way or another. Be it the ancestors, be it the divine, be it a spiritual or religious figure. It was quite a few different ways of like our relationship with that knowing and our willingness or ability to sort of like trust it and be guided by it. Pretty mama wants to take me by the. I don't know why that song popped into my head. That song that never pops into my head. It never pops into my head. Take me by the hand. Take me by the hand, pretty mama. Oof. Everything. Sorry, but welcome back. I'm wrapping it up now, so you'll be able to. Holly has posted the timestamps, so if you want, you can go back and try to find one. It's a whole lot of Death and the Lovers. Oh, come on. I got near to the top of the bridge. Let's try that one more time. There we go. There we go. You're fine. It was just like they were 6 different sort of messages. Of course, interlinked and connected in some ways, but it wasn't like a steady stream. I guess I would say the major takeaways are trust your internal guidance, because whatever is for you is finding you. But we have to navigate and turn our way to the realization of it. And yeah. Oh, 5 of Pentacles, 5 of Wands. Bottom of the deck is the 8 of Cups. What if you feeling something is completely off? I would almost ask if you gravitate towards pile 1. Because I feel like pile 1, because of the siren in the ocean, it felt like one of those. Potentially. Maybe not. I don't know. It depends. Trust your own guidance, intuition, and discernment. And yeah, if you can't, not you specifically, anyone in general, then I guess learn to. I mean, if you can, I'm sure it'll work with you to help you like learn to trust it. Like it will train you if you allow yourself to be trained by it. And then you will have a knowing of how spirit, the divine, the universe communicates to you and with you. So that way you can be on your way rather than a way or the way. Animal, 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 animal. Did I read that 5 of Pentacles, 5 of Wands? We'll go back to it in a second. There we go. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. The tiger, the hyena, and the hummingbird flipped out of the deck. The scorpion flipped over inside of the deck. The bottom of the deck is the phoenix. Interesting. The hyena is the cynic or the skeptic. Well, I like skinic. Maybe it's the skinic. It's the skeptical cynic. Like there's a difference between being skeptical and being cynical. Right? It feels like the skeptic is the questioner who is open to information. The cynic is the questioner who is not. Like the cynic is the one who will ask you questions with the purpose of talking you into disproving your own point. So you can see how dumb you are for believing whatever. Right? The cynic is the one who already has their mind made up, and that mind is not going to change. The skeptic is the one that has questions, but it's open. It's legitimately, genuinely open. And if there's a vibe, a resonance, if there's a truth that they feel, they'll go with it. And if there isn't, they won't. But they were open. The cynic, it was never going to happen. The hummingbird comes out after the hyena. And then the scorpion is at the bottom of the deck. Oh no, the scorpion isn't at the bottom. The bottom of the deck is the phoenix. The hummingbird is the only air card. The rest of these are all fire. But all of this fire, and then the rebirth of the phoenix. But the phoenix is a bird. So it's supposed to become air. It's not supposed to remain fire. Fire is just the trigger for the transformation. And the starfish was at the bottom of this deck before the rejuvenation. And then the Five of Pentacles and the Five of Wands is here. The Five of Pentacles feels like unfortunate. Oh, that's interesting. I got two fortune cookies. The second fortune was never chase a dog into a dead end alley. The first fortune was a mind is like a parachute. It's only functioning when it's open, or it only functions when it's open. And then we have the cynic and the skeptic. Um, See, because it's like with the Five of Pentacles and the Five of Wands, the skeptic would be open to the resolution of this energy. The skeptic would be open to a blossoming of this wilting rose. The cynic would think that this rose is done for, it's on its deathbed and it'll never come back. And so in the cynic's world, the rose dies. In the skeptic's world, there's a chance for the rose to survive. There's also a chance for it to die. It's open. It's interesting because faith was at the bottom of the deck. Our faith is the last card that I saw at the bottom of the deck, and it makes me think of the bear. When I used the fortune telling cards, and it was like the bear had a certain assertive power, but it was asserting itself in a way that led to some kind of bliss, abundance, favorable turn in fortune. And so it kind of sort of read like a steadfastness that we have and that we hold, and stubborn optimism that keeps us open to the possibility of something working out better. And that openness creates a way for that something better to find us. Or it makes us more um, aware of our environment, to sort of like catch it when we can, or to see it, or to be open to that feeling, and then to being led and guided by that feeling to finding the way out of the storm, or to finding our way to the eye of the storm. Either way, we avoid the calamitous effects of it. Whether we're out of it or whether we're in the center of it, we don't experience it. The storm is the forest. The eye or the outside is the castle. Whoa, I was like, hold up, these cards don't go here. They go here. The bottom of the deck was that Eight of Cups. What's behind the Eight of Cups? The Mother of Cups and the Moon. The Mother of Cups is the one that's open, even in the middle of the night, to the light. And when we walk in the direction that this because the Eight of Cups is a movement, right? When we walk in the direction that the Mother of Cups is pointing to, where it was the moon, we get the star. The star is the completion that pile one came out with. And it's like you're trying to put a moon on top of a tree. It's a star that goes up there, silly. Well, here's the star that goes on top of the moon. The Mother of Cups, again, pre High Priestess. It's the space of us listening to our intuition. The tiger, the High Priestess, is out here in the animals. And with the Five of Wands in this deck in particular, in the book, it mentions it as a lack of focus. So it reads as just like we don't have the full story, or how we can as easily assign or attribute it to one thing or another. But just because we say or assume that something is as it is doesn't mean it necessarily is. So you can see the tricky sort of fine line energy and how we assert ourselves and where we assert ourselves, and how and if we allow ourselves to remain open as we do assert ourselves in whatever way. Because it is that assertion, if assertion is a word, that gets us to the gold rather than keeps us at lead. And it's funny that the Scorpion is here, because that was the thing. It was like the one and only time I used the deck of many things and the deck of many fates. Actually, I think I used it a few times. But there was like a fear card that came out or something, and I think it was like a scorpion that was like poised to sting her in the heart. But the fear that she felt was not her fear. The fear was that of the scorpion that was attached to her. Because the scorpion knew that its days were numbered. But then the vizier was like, okay, well, how do we get them the help that they need without necessarily triggering the scorpion? Because if the scorpion is triggered, then everything is going to be shut down and they're not going to be receptive at all. And then it was like, oh, okay, so instead of sending a dragon, we'll send a knight. Because the scorpion's expecting a dragon. It's not expecting the knight. But the knight's sword was forged in the flame of dragon breath. So it basically has the properties of the dragon breath that the scorpion is afraid of, but it comes in a package that the person and scorpion, because I guess it's mostly the scorpion, is more receptive to. The scorpion fears the sword less than it does the flame. So imagine its surprise when it meets a sword forged in the flame. But that just in general, it speaks to how cunning and clever sometimes the divine has to be to get us where we want to go, to get us in a direction that we truly desire. But in a way, it's like it's that path of least resistance thing, right? The divine has to find a way that we're open to get us there. But the problem is sometimes there are no easy ways to get where we're going, but we can do the divine a favor, and we can help the divine help us by being open, receptive, by facing all of those things within us that we know we have to face, working through them, healing them, doing the shadow work, whatever, removing the limitations, creating more and more open ways, pathways, clear ways for that to come in or for us to get to it. And that was like, that's going to be what helps us navigate the forest and to see what is unseen. It's going to help us get to the castle, because we'll have more senses that the castle can use to communicate its location to us. And it'll keep us away from the keepers of the forest. So, alchemy. I kept saying scintillate, shards of sparks of light at the cut. How does anyone shuffle this? I feel like I need to watch Steph and Eve to see if they figured out how to shuffle it. At least with the round deck, it's like you don't get these awkward angles that just. There we go. Interesting. Saturn at the bottom of the deck. Again, Saturn's going to be going direct here soon. I mean, Pluto, basically a bunch of the outer planets that were / are retrograde are going to be stationing direct and going direct. I think Pluto might be the first one. I think if it's well, no, I think it's going to start soon. Saturn at the bottom of the deck. It's interesting that the Azure Vault, the blue temple, comes out because the temple was at the bottom of the wheres, with the thread at the bottom of the whats, and the unseen at the bottom of the whos. The blue temple. And Aestus, or Istis, summer. Here's a season that I haven't seen. The only season I've seen so far is autumn. Summer. There's a solstice in summer. Solstice kept coming out, or solstice, it made an appearance again. The blue temple in summer, obviously Cancer, or some Cancerian tie. The summer is not, oh snap, look at this. You see this sickle on the 10? That's Saturn. That's his scythe. Okay. I'll read the blue temple. The blue temple is number 54, where we had a 45. The 45-9 was not the venom, the vow. Right at the top. No, it's 54. They're both 54. The vow and the blue temple. Interesting. Celestial realm, the imagination and expansiveness. Welcome to the Blue Temple, the home of the alchemical imagination. You have entered a space of new depths, new possibilities. The inner eye opens and you become willing to see in a new way. To understand this card, one must study blue itself. It is the celestial color of the sky, the ocean, and the peacock's tail. Though potent, blue slips away. Through this color, our imagination threads together experiences both grim and glorious. Think blue films and blue ribbons, the halls of heaven and the harrows of melancholy. We are taken into the depths of mood, of tone, of the rhythm of the blues. The eternal mystery of blue will only deepen as we study it, and this is precisely the point. Leave the cerebral behind, cloak yourself in the sapphire robe, and sit quietly in the vault of mysteries. And then summer is here, looking like a fully vibrant tree of life, question mark. Interesting. Sit quietly in the vault of mysteries. Wow, I still got to put the Almanac Oracle away. Okay. I was like, well, I hope y'all have a good whenever you see this, and it's time for me to go. To go, 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 to go, to go. To go, 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 to go, to go. If that solstice card comes out again, oh, you don't get shuffled. Sorry. Fight or flight. What was that other card? Preparations. Oh, fight or flight and preparations is interesting. Fight or flight and preparations with the cynic versus the skeptic, or the cynic and the skeptic, is interesting. Are we preparing ourselves to fly? Or are we preparing ourselves to fly? Fight or fly. Memories and earthing. Memories came out. Earthing is at the bottom of the deck. What I like about this earthing card are the crystals in it, and with memory, it makes me think of the Lemurian caverns that are full of those crystals. And I know nothing about the Lemurian caverns, but it makes me think of the Lemurian caverns. I like earthing because it doesn't necessarily have a super strong connotation to it, like grounding, right? Memories can be sort of like keeping us connected, because again, we don't want our roots to be so shallow, or we don't want our roots to be so poor at penetrating the ground and anchoring and rooting themselves that as soon as any kind of cosmic wind comes in, we get completely uprooted. But we don't want to be so fixed that we don't bend and bow and sway with the wind either, because the wind will carry our seeds or our pollen or our fruit wherever they need to go for them to be planted and to proliferate there. So yeah, that was that. I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Thank you, Holly and K2, for stopping through. And until next time, just like trust yourself. Give yourself like a day, a week, a second, an evening, an afternoon. Like set the intention, like universe, guides, creator, God, whoever you believe in. Like show me how to know your voice and trust it. And you'll discover, you'll discern, you'll find out. You'll be able to differentiate certain nuances, maybe. We'll get one of these, because why not? And it feels like, there are a lot of things that will show us, there are a lot of things that will teach us. But we have to be open to it. There's no point. And again, it's with the skeptic. There's no point in trying to teach or discuss anything with the skeptic, because their mind is already made up. They're not going to negotiate their points. So it's pointless. Also it calls back to that, like, the one who's willing to become a page again versus the one that clings to the throne of king or queen or emperor or empress. Let's just get one mystical shaman oracle card, please. Even if it's corn, it's not corn. Okay. Well, it's like five. It's three. The bottom of the deck is the tree of life. The cards that came out: the standstill, the beloved, and the heart of the sky. It's almost like at this point, it's waiting on us. Our willingness and openness will determine, or will be a huge part of determining how far we go or what reveals itself to us or whatever, because it's resolution season. Resolution season. It's revelation season. It's a season for things to be revealed, for truths to come out, for understanding to be increased. But sometimes for our understanding to increase, we have to be okay with maybe what we think we know, we don't actually know. And it doesn't have to be a huge, like, ego crisis. It can be for a lot of us, I'm sure. It doesn't have to be. It's just like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, I had the wrong idea. Cool. Like, educate me, enlighten me, please, because I am in desire of it. I was gonna say I am in dire need of enlightenment, but I'm desiring enlightenment, and I am open. The answers will come from within you. They've been inside you the whole time. Okay. Ariel! I am, but I am. Yeah, it is. I will, Holly. Thank you. Scroll up for timestamps. There you go. And as soon as I end this, I'll put them in the description box so it should chapter the video. Pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Here's a little sneak peek for you, Ariel. Nope. I was gonna do it, but I'm not gonna. I'll do it. You can look at the sneak peek if you want, since you're here. If you don't want to look at the sneak peek, then don't look. But there you go. All right. I'll catch you all later. Again, like, all the best in this season. It feels like it really is. It feels like a lot of what we've been asking for and a lot of what we've been desiring, it's possible to start manifesting those or to start welcoming them into our lives. But it, at least over here, it doesn't feel like any of it necessarily comes without some kind of major realization. And that realization, it feels like it has the power to affect a lot of things in a way that it can almost be a tower. But sometimes, depending on what we want, there are some truths that we got to face. And it was like the truth is just the truth. You know what I mean? It's just the truth. It can't hurt you. It can, but it can't. You know what I mean? All right. Have a lovely whatever, whenever, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. I don't think you'll see me. You might see me Sunday if I come back, but you probably won't see me this weekend. That's fine. Not that any of you were necessarily. I mean, I guess if you were wondering or asking, you might not see me this weekend, because I will be at another friend's wedding. I'm excited.